Let's talk about wealth. You know, for most of us, it kind of feels like a game we're just set up to lose. We trade our time, our most precious asset, for a paycheck, always hoping to get ahead. But that real financial freedom, it always seems just out of reach. But what if I told you we've been taught to play the game all wrong? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the fundamental rules of money that the wealthy get, but most of us, well, we were never taught.
To really get what we're talking about, let's get a feel for the scale of this. Let's start with a number that feels like the ultimate goal for so many people: $1 million. Think about it for a second. That's the number that says, I've made it. It's the dream, right? It feels absolutely huge.
But now, let's just zoom out a bit. $100 million. Whoa. All of a sudden, that $1 million dream looks like, what, pocket change? This isn't just being rich. This is a level of wealth that can build legacies and shape entire industries.
And then there's this: $1 billion. I mean, this number is so big, it almost doesn't feel real. To put it in perspective, someone like Jeff Bezos has a net worth over 100 times this amount. So yeah, when you see numbers like this, it's no wonder that building your own wealth can feel less like a challenge and more like just an impossibility.
And look, if you've ever felt that way, like the deck is just stacked against you from the very beginning, you are definitely not alone. It's frustrating, and it's a totally understandable way to feel.
So that kind of begs the big question, right? How do people get this kind of wealth? Is it really all just dumb luck? Is it all just inheritance? Or do they know something about how money works that the rest of us just completely missed?
Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting because the data just shatters that common myth. I was pretty shocked to see that among the world's super rich, a massive 68% are self-made. These aren't just trust fund kids. We're talking about people like Oprah Winfrey or Howard Schultz from Starbucks, people who started with next to nothing. This proves something huge. For the majority, wealth isn't just inherited, it's created.
So if they're not all inheriting it, what's their secret? Well, it really boils down to understanding that there are two totally different ways to think about money. See, most of us are stuck in what's called the salary trap. But the wealthy, they operate on the wealth equation.
We all know the salary trap. It's the path we're basically pushed towards our whole lives. Get good grades, get a safe job, get that salary. But here's the fatal flaw. Your income is chained directly to your time. You get paid for the hours you put in, and since there are only so many hours in a day, your earning potential has a hard, unbreakable ceiling.
Let's just do the math real quick. Say you're making $20 an hour, working 40 hours a week. It would take you almost 24 years to gross $1 million. Think about that. A quarter of a century of your life. And that's before taxes, before bills, before inflation eats away at it. You are literally trading your life for money. And believe me, the exchange rate is not in your favor.
And that really gets to the hidden cost of the salary trap. It's not just about the dollars and cents. It's about the one resource you can never, ever get back: your time.
So, if the salary trap is the wrong way to go, what's the right way? Well, that brings us to the real wealth equation. Let's break down how money really works.
Now, this is the core idea. And I'll admit, it feels totally backwards at first. The secret to making more money is to stop trying to make money. Instead, you need to shift your entire focus to one thing: looking for problems.
Here's why that works. In our economy, you get paid based on the perceived value you bring to the market. And notice that word perceived. It has nothing to do with how hard you work. A cleaner might work way harder physically than an accountant, but the market sees the accountant's skills, saving a company thousands of dollars in taxes, as more valuable. It's a tough truth, but you have to understand it.
So the principle is actually pretty simple. The size of your income is directly tied to the size of the problem you solve. If you create an app that saves a small business 10 hours a week, you're solving a valuable problem. Amazon solved the problem of convenient shopping for hundreds of millions of people, and well, you can see how the market rewarded that solution on a massive, massive scale.
Okay, so understanding the theory is one thing, but how do you actually put this into practice? That brings us to our next section, from problems to profits. This is your actionable playbook.
It really just boils down to 3 simple steps. First, find a problem. Seriously, just listen to what people complain about, what frustrates them. Second, build a solution, which usually means creating some kind of business. And third, and this is the absolute key, you have to scale that solution so it's no longer attached to your personal time.
Let me give you an example.
A yoga teacher who charges by the hour has created a solution, sure, but they haven't escaped the salary trap. Their income is still capped by how many classes they can physically teach. All they've really done is create another job for themselves.
But what if that same teacher creates an online yoga course? They do the hard work once to create it, but then that course can be sold to thousands, maybe even millions of people 24/7 without the teacher having to be there. That is a scalable solution. That's the wealth equation in action.
So this whole process, finding a problem, building a solution, and scaling it, that's the engine of creating wealth. But it actually leads to a much deeper question, which brings us to our last section, the ultimate goal. Once you have the money, what are you really after?
Because when you really peel back all the layers, wanting a bigger house or the fancier car, you find a surprising truth. It was never actually about the money itself. Money is just the tool. The real prize, the thing you're actually chasing on this whole journey, is freedom. That's what it's all about.
And freedom isn't some vague, fluffy idea. It's real. It's paying off your parents' mortgage. It's booking a flight to Paris without even looking at the price tag. It's that incredible feeling of peace that comes from knowing you never have to worry about a deal again. It is the power to own your time, to own your life, and to live it completely on your own terms.
So let's just tie this all together with the one lesson you should take away from all this. The road to real freedom. It isn't built by chasing paychecks. It's built by obsessively looking for problems and then creating the solutions that the world is desperate for.
And that leaves us with one final powerful question for you to think about. Forget the money for just a second and ask yourself this. What meaningful problem will you solve?